everybody. This is Daniel.
This is Katie.
Welcome back to the Future Neighbor podcast. Neighbor, sorry, we've been away. It's been like 2, maybe 3 weeks since our last podcast.
Yeah.
Were you guys worried about us? Were you guys going to call us, see us if we were doing okay or not? Are you going to just let us...
Everybody's busy enjoying the end of the year. This will probably be our last podcast of 2020, right?
At our pace, yeah. Next year...
Goodbye, 2020.
No, next year our goal, we should, at the very least, once every 2 weeks. And hopefully we can increase it to once every week. And then maybe add video if the stats, start following. We get more listeners and listeners. There's been a lot of people who said put on some video so they could see our glorious faces.
That will be on YouTube.
Yeah, I think we should.
Then there's more things to take care of.
I know. We have to edit and then we have to put that on YouTube. And then neighbors, how is everybody? This is a one-way discussion, but I'm talking as if I want to hear how you guys are doing.
We've been not having a physical contact with people for quite a long while now, right?
What's today's date?
오늘? What is it?
We're so far into Corona, we don't know.
Our calendar, the paper calendar stopped at November.
Oh, we didn't even rip it off?
No.
I think it's December 20th, 5 days before Christmas.
Yeah.
Do you have any Christmas memories?
Christmas is... We used to make the Christmas tree at home.
You did? With your mom and your family?
Yeah.
And you guys put up the ornaments? It
would be my childhood tradition, yeah.
Wow.
We had this Christmas tree for even until quite recently. And then we finally decided to remove it. But that's been there for 20 years. Every Christmas, like maybe a month before, we would take it out and then we would decorate the tree. Then we have those, lights too.
It was the fake plastic tree, right?
Yeah.
I think every Korean household, they never get the real one.
I didn't know there was you were supposed to, or there was even people used the real one until recently.
You thought it was always just fake?
Yeah.
No,
But then I saw somewhere that they were actually, in America, they were actually chopping and selling those proper trees.
Yeah, like the tradition for a lot of American families is to go out, look for a tree, and then get it in. I suggested that to my mom once time, and she's like, why? It's expensive, and it's going to rot. So
what happens after the Christmas?
It starts to shed its leaves, like the bristly pine stuff. It falls off one by one, and you just toss it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's why my mom was always very pragmatic. And you have to unpack, right? I think up to a certain year, I think maybe until high school, my mom really enjoyed putting up the Christmas tree. But then as we got older, it started becoming more of a drag for her to say, yeah, 내려와! Hey, come down! Help me set up the Christmas tree. And our lives would get busier, and then it became more of a task rather than like a family enjoying things. And then I just remember seeing in the upper left-hand corner of our garage that box that never opened every Christmas. Do you have any Christmas traditions that you've done in the past, or has it been mostly the tree?
Tree, because we don't go to church, so we would go out to city center and then have a nice dinner with the family.
In Busan.
Yeah, in Busan, and then maybe get some gifts for each other.
Did it ever snow
in Busan? Doesn't really snow in Busan. Yeah. Only snowed one time in my memory. But this year it doesn't feel like Christmas at all, because we can't really go out and
you get that sense of Christmas when you hear the jingle bells and the music from the stores, right?
Yeah, but we don't really have that, and then just feels like time is passing by, but just feels like every other day.
It could be July right now for all we know. Or maybe August.
Did you have a tradition?
Yeah, I mean, I was raised in the church, so I would always go to Mass. Actually, I hated it because Mass during Christmas is exceptionally long. And for me, like even doing the 1 hour, I'm like, all right, it's communion time. Yeah. Then we got one more outro song and then we're walking out. Yeah. I'm like counting down. But then if you go to Mass during Christmas, it's like the lecture, it takes a long time. Then sometimes they do like the walking this, or they enact the birth of Christ and all of this. And I'm just, it would take like 2 hours. It would be like a 2 hour special Mass. And I'd just be like, oh, when is this going to end? I want to go home. But yeah, maybe I'm being a little bit just joking around with it. But yeah, like going to Christmas Eve Mass. And then
do you eat something special for Christmas?
Yeah, whatever my mom, I mean, I think back in the past, my mom would do like Christmas ham. Like she would tell us it was made from scratch, but then it was like ordered from like a Honeywell or I forget, maybe that was not the name of the company, but I would see the box in the back. And then it's funny because like for us, we only eat this like huge Christmas ham during Christmas.
Yeah.
And so we all pretend like, wow, Mom, it's like amazing and it's so delicious. And my dad is also with the act too. So he's like eating all these like candied yams and like mashed potatoes when he really is craving like just a bowl of rice and something like a kimchi jjigae. So we always had that kind of a special. But it was, you know, that the act of coming together and having like a set routine was something that you don't realize is special until you don't have one. When we speak about Christmas, for us, we also have to make something like our own tradition.
Yeah,
moving forward.
We've been making like Christmas dinner at home.
What comes to mind? We always do the what?
We have the the seashell. What is it called?
Seashell.
Yeah.
Don't we always do the fried shrimp?
Oh, fried shrimp, and one time we
Deep
did
fried shrimp.
the 관자.
Oh yeah. We did the scallops.
Yeah, scallops.
Yeah, so we've been doing like a special seafood thing on Christmas. We have to keep it up this year. And then we have to perhaps introduce a smaller tree. Yeah, next year. Yeah. I think we forgot about this year. This year anyway is a scratch year. Yeah, this is like a test run. So if we forget about something, it's fine. We just sneak it in next year. Today, I went through my phone and I was giving some of my friends a call. And like, I'm just reminded, you know, in previous podcasts, I've talked about like the importance of, not even the importance, but just how much joy a phone call can bring, you know. And there's been people who I've been like, you know, sometimes you take a shower and when you're right about, you know, washing off the shampoo off your hair, you think about that person and you go, oh, I wonder how she's doing.
Yeah.
Or how he's doing, right? And then as soon as you dry off and then you come out of that shower stall, you forget. It's gone.
And then you open your Instagram and it's forgotten.
Yeah, or the day starts and it's done, right?
Yeah.
But today, strangely enough, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to call this person. So I like...
Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah, I told myself in the back of my head, I'm going to go through and call some of these people who I've been thinking about in the shower. And among one of those friends is like, is a young or an older friend, a guy, and always been part of my life. He actually, I don't want to go into too specifics, but yeah, I mean, when I was talking with him, he kind of opened up to me and shared kind of a very painful secret because we haven't talked actually ever on the phone. But he was very, I think, touched by the fact that I called him and he kind of shared something that a very dark secret of his just as we were talking. And it just reminded me so much about the fact that everyone is dealt different cards in life and you don't know the pains that everyone has. Everyone has something.
Yeah.
You have something. I have something. But our somethings are not as painful and as deep as others. And so, you know, when you see someone acting one way or the other, giving them a little bit more understanding and then just giving them benefit of the doubt, you know, not judging them too quickly. Now, I'm saying this as if I do this well, but I'm really bad at it, right?
Yeah.
I'll be like, why is he acting like that? That idiot. Like, man, he's changed. I like sounding like my dad. Oh, my son has changed. Oh, like, just become a different person. Like sometimes I see my friends.
He used to be so sweet, such a sweet guy.
Yeah. He used to listen to everything that I said. But yeah, with the same conviction, sometimes like you have these, especially because communication lately goes through Messenger, right? So you don't have the nuance of voice, right, through your mobile. And so sometimes you can misunderstand things. But yeah, I never knew that, this friend had that painful of a history, and just listening to it. And I was just like, this little something is probably among a lot of my friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I was just so taken back, and I also was reminded of just the power of a phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah, give someone, especially because we're all locked down, just talking with somebody. Everybody is wanting connection.
Yeah, I think so.
Everybody is like wanting attention. Like
everybody feels lonely.
Yeah, seeking some sort of connection with somebody. And just to hear somebody on the telephone, besides the everyday person you're living with, it just brings like a sense of joy, right? So I definitely want to keep this up in the upcoming year. So at least once a month for friends that that I care about. By the way, you don't have to do this for everybody, right? Just people who, you really want to grow closer with over the years. Like taking the time, for me, once a month, that's one of my resolutions that I want to keep going forward. Just seeing how they're doing. And that first phone call is very difficult. Right? That first phone call, right? You haven't that person I'm talking about, I've actually never talked to him directly on the phone. Right? We used to always meet up, and through our groups of circles we would always,
but you never like talk to him one-on-one.
Exactly.
And it feels like such a big hurdle at the beginning.
It does. The easiest way, if you guys have trouble what to say and that prevents you from connecting, just say this. I always just say this, like, hey, I've been thinking about you lately. Just want to say hi, see how you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's a good start.
Yeah. Yeah. And the second thing that I also thought from this discussion was that when I was growing up, I was growing up in the Catholic Church, right? And one of the things that I valued so much about growing up in a church, I mean, actually, whether it being Catholic or Protestant, Presbyterian, that's not important. Just what I liked about the church, now that I think about it and its impact on my life growing up, was the community. There's a community there, right? So if we think about the role of a church, is people are there because they believe in a shared belief. Normally in society, if you interact with someone and they're off to you, you don't give them the leeway. But when you're at church, for example, you can't really say something like mean because you're not supposed to act that way. That's not the code of conduct at church, right?
Yeah.
So when you're young, especially in your formative years, you like are able to build more connections than you had if you didn't, right? So I'm talking about this like beyond the whole religious scope and the tenets in that, which, I have other thoughts on. But yeah, and so like some of these like leaders that led kind of the youth program at my church, like I think about them from some time to time, and they've paid such a positive impact on my life, not because of what they taught me in church, but because of the program or the time they took to volunteer to make those sessions where I could build friendships with other people. Why? Because we're supposed to play nice, and under those code of context, you start building these relationships otherwise that you would never have.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. And as we get older, we don't have that. You know what I mean? Where in what, like, for example, another one, sorry, I all of these thoughts like rushed to me after I finished that conversation. Number two, like as we're at this age, maybe at a company, right? At a company, you have a code of conduct, right? And you have a shared goal of doing X, Y, or Z for the company, right? And so you get to build connections with people that you normally wouldn't give enough leeway or opportunities to if you guys didn't blend 100%, right? But or
in like hobbies.
Or hobbies, yeah.
Like when you like in climbing, or when people do like hobbies like photography or dancing.
Yeah. So I think that's why, like exactly like you mentioned, as we get older, getting hobbies to build community. Community is everything. Anyway, those were just a few thoughts that as soon as I got talking with my friend, it just come up in my mind. And even if we were to have kids or something, sometimes I ask myself, like, would I want my kids to grow up with religion right now, as of what month was it? December 2020. The community aspect is so beautiful that they can have friends outside of school, or can have friends that come from a different angle than what's being like cool in society. I think that's great. But then I wouldn't want my kid to fall down to the hardcore beliefs of like any religious tenet and just go like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't want that at all. So I'm kind of on the fence, but I think the community aspect, I think that's great.
Yeah. It's a bit different because you were raised in the US.
I see.
But then, like, in Korea, I didn't go to church. But I think a lot of those, like, communities or small groups of friends
Yeah.
gets made in at schools too, because in Korea, moms take a very active role at school. So, like, if your moms know each other,
Uh-huh.
then you also get to be more close to that person, because that mom will invite you and your other friends to come have dinner.
Right.
So that's like my memory of my small community, because we had like 4, 5, or 6 other friends that we were close to, but also our family was very close to, and we were from the same class in the same school.
Yeah.
And then when I moved school,
Mm.
another kind of group of friends got kind of formed through like a family and moms from the same class. Because Korea is not very like, is majority of people like Christians in America. In Korea, there's like a lot of people are Buddhists too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think Christian is a majority like
It's
religion.
not. It's Buddhism
So like,
in Korea. Yeah.
yeah, so there's so many other ways that I kind of got to make friends with or have like this kind of community.
I always think the base foundation of making friends is at school, right? So
Yeah.
of course we're gonna make friends at school, but I think like beyond the group of friends that you have at school, like because how I grew up, I always had this group of friends at church, and so like I would like jump from group to group. Like I'd play with my church friends, of course I'd play with my school friends, and then I also had like a group of friends when I was like really into tennis and training for tennis.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I had these little pockets. Strangely, the friends that I made at church, they still very strong to me till this day.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's your New Year resolution for next year.
What is?
To like calling your friends like once a month at least.
Yeah, keeping up. I mean, I'm not gonna do it like a robot, like just doing it for the sake of doing it. But for friends that like, I want to, catch up with.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least once a month. Taking the time once a month. It might not be that I call all my friends, but just looking to see who I want to have a meaningful conversation with.
That's really good. You
Just
should
once a
put it down in your Google Calendar.
I did.
Oh.
Yeah, I did. How about you, Katie? You have any New Year's goals that you're thinking of?
So there's one thing that I want to do next year.
Okay. Okay.
I want to learn Japanese.
Oh, you want to learn Japanese?
本当に?
おはようございます。こんばんは。
こんばんは.
Me llamo. Oh no, that's Spanish.
こんにちは.
こんにちは.
Yeah, I want to learn Japanese, and I don't know, I'm really intrigued by the Japanese culture quite recently. There's various reasons. Like first, I'm working with a lot of Japanese people at work.
Yeah, your company is a multinational.
Yeah, so like I think that mostly that influenced me to want to learn Japanese and understand better and understand their culture better.
Mm-hmm.
And even though like Japan is such a nearby country to us, I feel like it's so interesting how there's so many like differences that I noticed too.
Culturally.
And even at work, like the work manner or the way they communicate or talk is so different to like the Korean.
Okay, so share some of these details. This is the fun of
No,
conversation.
the Japanese people are so polite. I mean, it's everybody. I feel like everybody knows this, but even at work, like when they ask you to do something, there's no like demanding. They're super polite, and sometimes I wonder whether it's okay that they're that polite to us. Like even when it's when you are in a position to be ordering someone what to do, they always ask you to do it, like really politely.
But maybe it's because you don't know the language, the nuance. So like sumimasen might sound like excuse me, but it might be like sumimasen being like, yeah, you better do it.
Yeah.
There's like this like
maybe you're right.
What we call dunchi, right? You know, like you know
I don't get the tone.
You know what they're implying, but Japanese has a lot of set phrases, right? Right before you eat, right before you leave the house.
So they're just saying it, you're saying.
The part of Japanese language is you have to say set phrases to be known as a cultured person, right? Before you eat. I mean, it's like Korea. 잘 먹겠습니다. 이따다키마스, right?
Yeah.
When you come home, tadaima. No, was that when you're leaving? I forgot. Ohayou gozaimasu is good morning.
I think that's...
Oh man, I forget how much. I need some soju. Oh no, I need some sake. I remember everything when I'm on sake.
Oh my gosh. That's your biggest excuse.
Yeah.
Anyways, I want to say, because even at meetings, like I always hear them through the voice of a translator. So I never really like hear their true voice.
Yeah.
And like I wish that I could like pick up a few more like words or nuances that they're saying.
By the way, sometimes I hear Katie because, we're both working at home at the moment, and Katie does these like Zoom conference calls, and it's really cool to set up. Like I never have seen this, but the translator is on the Zoom call with you. It's a third party company, not your company.
Yeah.
And then when the Japanese subsidiary of your company starts speaking, or the Japanese person from Japan starts speaking, the volume gets lowered, and then the Korean translator comes directly into your ear.
Yeah.
And then when the Korean person answers, it flips, and they do that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like,
yeah, I've never seen. I mean, it's my first time trying it too, but it's really cool.
And the translators, they're really good.
They're like live translating.
They're live translating, guys. It's not like a Google Translate, like, or like a Lost in Translation kind of thing. It's immediate.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. But interesting thing that I noticed also was like, let's say if I was working with like an American company or something, the big global language is English, right?
Yeah.
So all the other non-English speaking countries will have to adapt to that or speak English, right? But here we don't really have such thing. So we don't really, if the Japanese people speak, it's translated to Korean. If Korean person speaks, it's translated to Japanese.
To their local language.
Yeah. So both of us don't have to actually speak English.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. And we use Slack as a communication tool.
Right.
And even on Slack, we have this plugin that translates auto translates your messages. So when a Japanese person types something in Japanese, and Korean translation will come right below it.
Is it accurate enough to do work?
It's pretty accurate.
Is it like a Google Translate level or better?
So internally, I think it uses the Papago translator API by Naver, which is a Korean company.
Naver Papago is what Korea uses instead of Google Translate. It's better, way better, from Korean to English to Korean. Naver Papago.
I don't know. I use both because both has their deficiencies.
I see.
Yeah, so I feel like Naver Papago is better at colloquial conversations, whereas when you want to write proper like documents,
grammar,
then Google Translate seems to be better.
I see.
So I always have both of that turned on my Chrome tab.
So what other reasons you want to learn Japanese? It's just for your company's sake, or what's
Yeah,
influencing
also
this
I just
Japanese
get
way?
in. I don't know. Lately, I think that initially influenced me, and also, I started watching. I'm watching this Japanese drama,
Oh, I see.
and it's really interesting because it's so different to a Korean drama. So I've never really watched a Japanese drama before, but this one that I'm watching, like I'm starting to notice some cultural similarities and differences, and like observing that is really fun. Like, did you know that in Japan they also give money when you have a marriage? They had the same thing.
Oh, like in Korea, instead of buying gifts, you
Yeah,
give them
they give
money.
you money.
Yeah.
And like there was a scene where this guy was asking the girl's parents for approval for the marriage with their daughter.
Uh-huh.
And but then he did it in such a like a formal way. So he was bowing down, like his head's down, asking the dad for sumimasen something. And then the dad in return, he also kneeled down and he was like with his head down,
Oh, it's
like
kind of
my
like
daughter 잘 부탁드립니다.
oh, it's
Like
kind of very like
really,
samurai.
oh,
Like,
samurai style. I was so intrigued. It was so interesting.
so you like these like cross cultural, like seeing what's similar and what's different, and
Yeah.
well, good luck. I'll help you with some Japanese, but you do have to get me a bottle of sake each time. My Nihongo goes off the chart.
Your
It's,
Nihongo?
my Nihongo
also
is
another
sugoi.
Also, another reason is like I always heard that Japanese, like it's relatively easy
Uh-huh.
for Korean person to learn Japanese because like
If you know
our
Hanja,
order of grammar is the same,
yeah.
and also like Hanja. But other than the Hanja, the grammar order is like the same, and a lot of like similarities. I don't know,
Hi.
something like that. I want to see if that's really the case.
You got to get really good at that. As a girl, if during a conversation and someone says something a little bit not shocking but interesting, you have to go. I can't really do it. You know what I'm talking about, Katie? Don't they do that in the drama? Like,
Yeah, I know.
I'll say, I'll say, hey, it's been a
Etto?
while. No, not eto. Eto is like a filler word. Etone. No, but like, I'll say I'm pregnant. I was like 3 months pregnant. That's shocking. And you got to be, what's your response?
아리가또.
No. Katie.
本当に?
No. Oh, okay, that's not bad, but it has to be the.
Oh, yeah.
If you nail that down, your Nihongo, your colloquial Nihongo is gonna go up the charts. Yeah.
Let's see.
My voice, like it's just hard.
And then the Japanese guys, at least the one that the drama I'm watching, they
Yeah.
seem so much more mellow than Korean guys.
In what
Is
way?
this such a controversial statement?
In what way? Oh,
They were in their attitude.
they're very. A lot of the Japanese, like main characters, they have this very
They're
stoic.
soft.
No, they have a very stoic, meaning they don't show that much emotion. Like if you like a girl, you never show that you like her. I want it. Yeah, it's stoic. Do you know the word stoic?
Excuse me. No, I think it's drama by drama. The one that I watched, it's like the guy is very mellow and soft.
I
It's
see.
not stoic at all.
I see. Man, I want to visit Japan again. I love.
I really want to go skiing in Sapporo.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah, because right now I'm developing this feature that's like related to map.
At your work?
Yeah, so I'm like testing the feature. So I have to actually like, in order to test that feature, I have to search certain regions in Japan and see where the pin goes in the map. It seems like Hokkaido is like by size one of the bigger prefecture in Japan. So I always test that Hokkaido, and then that kind of reminds me they have Sapporo. And they have like apparently like really, I heard so many good things about like skiing, how it's nice to ski there.
I've been snowboarding in Hokkaido. is really nice. The snow, it like
Is it like it's
yeah,
like a real snow?
Yeah,
like you fall into it?
like if you fall into it, you hear
Like a cloud?
no. You gotta be quiet, Katie.
Yeah, I want to experience that.
Like imagine like a snowboarding going like 120 miles per hour, 160 kilometers per hour. They're going super fast. They go off a jump.
And then? So you don't actually get those bruises either.
Yeah, there's no hard snow. When it's like truly snowing in Hokkaido, it's the fresh snow is so soft. So soft. And so when you're like snowboarding and you're carving into like fresh snow, you got to carve really deep. You know, like in those like YouTube snowboard videos, professional ones, you see like that like wave of snow when they carve.
Yeah.
And it goes
Like
over.
that?
It carves like that. And I was like, this is so much fun. And I would just carve.
We have to go.
Yeah, but reality, Katie, you don't know how to snowboard, so I'm going to just be at the bottom of the bottom of the run, helping you strap on, and then you're going to cry when we get to the top, and then we're going to take 4 hours to do one ride down, and then we're going to go eat ramen, and then you're going to be like, this was the best trip ever.
No, I want to experience that real snow, not like the artificial snow.
And we get real snow here in Korea too, but we have so many people, and that it gets hard, and then, but yeah, it's a little bit different. Fresh powder snow.
Yeah, like the powder snow.
Yeah, but you'll fall deep. That's the thing is like if you really.
What happens then?
You're just really deep into snow. So even though you went, you have to crawl your way out. If you really go like in.
I see.
So that
still sounds fun.
That 120-kilometer snowboarder is gonna into like 10 feet of snow and be buried alive.
Yeah, I'm kind of into that kind of fantasy right now.
You know, though, Katie, the idea of going is much better than actually being there, right?
Yeah.
The idea of it is always better.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think life is. Yeah.
Like I sometimes think about like the idea of taking my whole family to a trip in like Hawaii or something. Sounds so beautiful.
Right.
And just like, so nice. But then I know I can totally see the reality. Like it will start from the moment we start packing.
You get to Incheon Airport and then it's like, 네, 여권 보여주세요. 여권 어디 있어? 아니 내 가방에 있었단
Somebody
말이야.
brings an old passport, which is actually what happened long time ago when I was going on a trip to Rome with my brother.
Oh yeah.
So my brother actually got a new passport right before that because his old one got expired.
Yeah.
But then on the day that we are at the airport and trying to like get our ticket, he takes out his passport. Turns out he brought his old passport and left his new one at home. At home in Busan. And at that time we are in Incheon, so you can't even like take a taxi and then come back.
It's too far. Oh my! And you guys had already booked all the flights to Rome
and the hotel, everything. And we were like just like 2 hours to the flight departure. So what do you do?
Did your brother turn into a little puppy dog? That's what I would have done. I would have not said anything more.
Did.
I would have become the most sunan or the most like shy little dog, and I would have not. Was he like scared you're gonna beat him to death?
No, I was scared because he got so angry at himself. He didn't give me the chance to be angry at him. His strategy worked.
Your brother is a little bit on the shy type, so seeing a shy type getting angry might be a little bit intimidating.
Yeah, so yeah, that's like a unbelievable story that I had. But then we actually ended up, so I canceled all the hotels and everything.
Yeah.
And then I think there was a little bit of fee, but it wasn't too much, thankfully. And then we actually ended up going to Osaka for a shorter trip, which was really nice too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember. And neighbors, I want to tell you one story that came up to my mind just now. We started this podcast off. Our first episode was about failing at life, especially with the post
interviews.
Yeah, post college interviews, and I don't know. I just this idea about second chances and like having a second chance at whatever. I think it's been like, I was also talking about the shower thoughts. I was talking about people, but this idea of the importance of being able to give someone in your life or to be able to help at like an institutional or at a society level, the ability to give people second chances is so important. And I'll tell you why. This is the story about how I went to jail.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, and I think I told you, Katie, right, a long time ago, that I actually been to jail.
Yeah, that's such a crazy story.
Yeah, like that's also a very big stigma.
I know. I can't believe that you decided to say it.
Like publicly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm old enough, and like I've kept this a very big secret.
Yeah. I thought you would never like share it on public.
Yeah, but I think there's like this sense of good about being vulnerable and sharing your vulnerabilities too, because if we look at like what we do, like it looks like we may have had like very like nice lives and it's easy and blah 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 blah, but everyone has their weak points or they've made their mistakes. That's my point. Like, and we should give people a second chance, right? So, the way I went to jail, it's a hilarious story.
And by the way, this is something that even Daniel's parents aren't aware of,
no,
right?
They know.
Do they know?
Yeah, I told them like a few years later.
Oh.
And at first, they were so shocked. Then they thought it was hilarious. and then it turned to anger against kind of, well, not against me, but against the situation of what happened. There's a little bit of injustice. Actually,
okay, get to the bottom of it, please.
All right. I was actually going to share this story after the George Floyd, but then I didn't want to put my story on top of George. It doesn't compare, because this is almost on the ridiculous side rather than tragic side. So it was senior week at my university. And it was party mode. Guys, we had done 4 years of studying and finals were done. And we had 1 week till graduation. I think 2 days before the actual graduation ceremony. I think it may have been a Friday. I went to a club in Indiana. It's called Club Fever. This club, it actually shut down, sadly. But me and my friends... you guys know how it is, right? I mean, before you go to the club, you do a little bit of drinking. We call it pre-gaming. You got to pre-game a little bit. Why? Because you got to save some money. The drinks are expensive at the bar, at the club. So, and it was graduation, so we got tanked. Like, we were pretty tipsy. We're in a good vibe to go dance and do whatever, just be ourselves. So, got to the club. Dancing, having a great time, saw all of my friends. We just do rounds. Someone brought a bottle of champagne, pretend to be rap stars. We shower each other with the champagnes. Almost got kicked out for doing that, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that was the vibe, and it might have been like 2 a.m. And so now we're on our way out. I just remember being like, my friends were starting to leave, and I was like, hey guys, because one of them was like, all right, I'm going to drive home. But I was like, in my head, I remember, I was like, oh man, this guy has been drinking as much as I had, but he's going to drive home with all these people. So I was like, dude, you shouldn't drive. He's like, shut up, man. Like, why you always bringing me down, man? Like, it was that kind of level of dumb, right? We're too drunk. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a taxi. But in my mind, I'm so drunk, I don't know how I'm going to say this. So I ended up saying, hey, dude, I'm going to take a taxi, right? That's basically what happened. So my friends left and then got into the taxi line. And, saw a couple more buddies. And we were just having fun, waiting for the taxi. And then me and my friends were just having fun. Like the friend that I met in line at the taxi. And we're just like chatting it up. And then my friends are, you can just take this one. And I was like, all right, hey man, see you. Hey man, it's great, man. Awesome, man. We're going to kill it in the real world. Hell yeah. Opened the door of the taxi. And then I got in, closed the door. And I lived on Talbot Drive. So I was like, can you take me to, I forgot the exact number of the house, but let's say, can you take me to 214 Talbot Drive? And no response. No response. But I hear this like radio chatter. Sir, can you take me to 214 Talbot Drive, please? And then I looked, but there was two people in front. So there was one person in the passenger seat, and then there was a taxi driver. So I was like, oh shit, this one was already packed. That's why he's not responding to me. I look to the right, and then I see a shiny thing on his shoulder. Looked at it. Police badge.
So you got on a policeman car.
Yeah. You gave away the punchline, but yes. Immediately the taxi driver, who I thought was a taxi driver, was like, beep beep, station, we got one right now. We're gonna be heading to the station. And I was like, like when you're like are in the flight or fight mode, you immediately sober up. Like for me, like all that like, hey dude, that like complete disappeared, and I got my like complete like college voice on, like, oh sir, excuse me, I'm sorry, but I thought this was a taxi. And he was like, I remember he cussed at me. He was like, you little rich bitch kids, you guys think you guys have everything, huh? You can just like play around with us. No, I'm booking you tonight.
Oh my god.
And I was like, I turned into like this like lawyer legal mode. I was like, sir, I'm very sorry. I thought this was a taxi line, and there are taxis behind us, and I was trying to do the right thing because my friend was trying to drive while drunk. So I wanted to take a taxi.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I didn't recognize that you guys were police. And he's like, shut your mouth. No, I haven't done anything wrong. I'm leaving now.
Yeah.
So I opened the door.
Yeah.
And then they're like, let's get this bitch. And so they both opened the door.
Oh.
And then as I was getting up, because my legs like Sonic were about to warming up to bolt out of there because I know the situation is bad, they immediately grabbed me, grabbed my head.
Oh my god.
And then like the movies, put it right against the trunk.
Oh my god.
And then I felt the handcuffs come on. And then I saw all of my senior friends.
They all saw you.
They all saw me getting booked.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like,
for what?
Now I started getting angry. Now my 20-year-old Dan who says, I ain't done shit. I'm gonna sue you. I ain't done shit.
Exactly.
Fuck you guys. I ain't done shit. And I just remember my friends be like, dude, shut up. Because they don't want me like getting more trouble. Like, and I was getting angry. I haven't done anything, right? Long story short, they put me back in, and it was an undercover cop, police car. Like, not all police car in the States have the markings.
Oh, so it wasn't like visible from outside.
Yeah, they had the little like blue and red lights, like on the dash camera, like where the rear view mirror is. But I didn't see that walking in, right? So I didn't know. And I was booked, right? And then they turn on the lights, and then guys, I haven't done anything wrong. Was just having a good time. He really had this thing against me. He was just like, you little rich fucks, you guys think you guys can do anything in this area? Like, just because you go to this X university, you guys think you're better than the locals here? I'm like, no.
He had so much anger.
He was just upset. And in the back of my mind, again, this was 2 days before
your graduation.
My graduation. And my parents were flying over from California. And I believe they were flying over the next morning, starting the trip. So I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? All I could think about during that time was my parents are going to kill me. After they paid that much money for me to attend this university, I'm going to be in jail.
Wow.
During graduation, and they're flying over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the level anxiety 9999999 on a scale of 100.
It's like something that would happen in a dream.
In a movie.
Not in reality.
I know, right? So I got booked. I went through putting my thumbnails and, put it on ink, put it on paper. I got processed in, and I was in the booking center. Strangely enough, there was like 6 other Latin kids, and they got booked, and they were furious.
Oh, too?
Yeah. And I was like, hey, why'd you guys get booked? Because I knew who they were. They knew who I was too, right? And they're like, Dan-yul.
The same club?
Yeah, the same club.
Oh, okay.
So apparently one of Um, and I was like, what happened to you guys? Did you guys walk into a cab car? They're like, what are you talking about? Are you an idiot? Or did you walk into a police car? They're like, one of the police cars almost ran over our friend because they were going so fast.
Oh
And so they started yelling at the car. They started yelling at the police car.
Yeah.
The police car drove back
Oh.
and arrested all the Latin kids, like 4 or 5 of them as a group.
Oh my gosh.
So these cops were like really just out there to get kids. Like, and they're like, we haven't done anything wrong. And I was like, that's what I'm saying, bro. like,
That's crazy.
yeah. But it shook me. Like, so they locked me in there and I was
But
like,
shouldn't there be like a reason why they lock you in? Like, well, they will have to file a report, right?
Yeah.
So what would they say on there?
public drunkenness.
Oh,
That's the chart. It's a misdemeanor. There in the States, there's misdemeanors, which are like not that crazy of crimes, just like, you know, and then there's felonies, which are like very, very bad crimes. I didn't know that I was booked in for public intoxication, but the guy was like, hey, like, did I say public drunkenness? I think the proper term is public intoxication. Yeah, same thing. But, so I was in this jail cell, and then, not the jail cell, but the booking like cell. And I was in there with everybody, right? And then the Latin kids, right?
Yeah.
And then there were other people who got arrested that night. Some people had like blood on their shirt. I think it was like domestic violence call. I was so freaked out. I've never had any problems with the police in my life.
Yeah.
But I got into the wrong car. And here I am,
Gosh.
like on the episode of Cops or something. That's how I felt like. And I would bang on the door room because I was like, hey guys, I'm so naive. They're like, you're going to be in here all night. I thought I could like convince them to let me out because I'm a good boy. So I would like hit the window and I'd be like, hey guys, I think I'm not drunk anymore. I think I peed it out. They're like, hey, for the last time, shut up. You're not getting out. Shut the hell up. And then they'd be like, just keep pissing so that you can get all the alcohol out. Keep drinking more water. I thought like if I, did it like once or twice, I could prove to them I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm like with my hand, I'm like this. I'm like, guys, I'm all right. I'm like, meanwhile, like the regulars, they're just chilling in the back. They all fell asleep.
Oh.
The Latin group was just like chilling too. So I'm like, I'm going to find my way out of here. Break it on the windows. Hey guys, I've peed like 3 times now. I'm really good. I think you guys can let me out now. I'm so scared because I'm thinking about my dad's reaction. I got to get back to my dorm, right?
Yeah.
I got to get on my gear. Long story short, I didn't sleep at all. And it was the next morning.
Yeah.
I'm still banging on the door. Hey, what time are we out?
Yeah, what time are you? Can you be out?
And one by one, they would like call your name and be like, hey, something. I don't remember. But there's 2 incidents that I remember during that night that like really scared the bejesus out of me. Number one person, they got their verdicts read to them and they were found guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And they were putting him back into the jail cell. I think he was convicted for murder or something like that.
Yeah.
Like when I saw later when I talked to someone, and he was like sentenced to like 15 years in jail or something.
Yeah.
The screaming he was doing in the jail cell, it shook me. I was so freaked out.
Oh.
And I started getting so depressed and like so filled. There was so darkness because as soon as you're a criminal or you're in jail, you don't get treated as a human anymore. You're trash.
Yeah.
You're not human anymore. I didn't know this. So when the police look at you, they look at you like you're trash. Like I've never been looked that way before. The stare was the first thing that really shook me. Like you have no rights. So you can talk as nice, excuse me. They do not care. You're a criminal. You've been dehumanized by that term, by that label. And so I didn't do any crime in my past before, but I said, I'm going to live such a virtuous life after this. This is not even prison. This was like county jail and the booking, like the holding cell. No, sorry. Yeah, the right term is the holding cell. I was in the holding cell and it already shook me that much. And then the second thing was in the morning, they give you breakfast.
They do.
In these gray trays. It's pretty thick width. And I remember they gave some scrambled eggs and this like toast. The toast was thick. The scrambled eggs,
Oh.
it looks so terrible. And then in the movies,
Yeah.
they always show one person being like, "Hey, you gonna eat that?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly happened to me.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the
So that's a real story.
yeah, one of the locals that got picked up that night, and I said with the bloody like shirt, he came up to me. He was like, "Hey man, first time here." I was like, "Yeah, when are they gonna let us out?" He's like, "I don't know. You can keep banging away, but you're gonna eat that?" And I was like, "No, man, you can just take it." And I was like, "Oh my god, the movies are real.
Oh yeah.
There's a reason why some of those lines are included."
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
I kept asking when I could get out, and
Because the next day is your graduation. I mean, that day,
no,
that morning.
No, it wasn't the graduation that day. It was like the graduation the day before where we do the dry rehearsal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like our school of business, they put everyone up and you're supposed to be in line and you do the dry run. And I'm like, oh my God. But I know my parents have left. They're on their plane now on the way over. And
Weren't you supposed to pick them up in the airport?
yeah, I'm supposed to pick them up by maybe let's say 4 p.m. And right now, let's say
God.
it's like 11.
Okay.
Right? Oh my God. I'm just like, guys, can you feel my anxiety? Right? I'm just like, oh my God. Like I'm sure they called me a million times. And on top of this guy asking me for my breakfast, on top of hearing some like cry from this guy who'd been sentenced to jail and that repeating in the back of my mind. And then I'm thinking about my dad's face. Why you don't pick up the phone? I'm coming from California. You terrible son. 말도 안 돼. Like I'm already like, how do I combat this? My mom is coming. My sister's on her way. What had happened now was my friend had posted the bail for me because he knew that I was in jail.
Okay.
Because he was there at the club. So he paid for it. And then they're like, hey, the bail was like so low. It was like $100. Might have been 100. Actually, it might have been $200. And then I was able to get processed out at like 2:30. And told my friend, I was like, oh my God, thank you so much for picking me up and blah, blah. He's like, dude, that's crazy what happened last night. Damn, you crazy. I was like, I don't want to be crazy. I want to live a good life from now on. My God.
So then you were left free like that.
Yeah, but the story goes on.
But what if the person didn't like help you? When can you be let off? By the normal process.
I think for my charge, they would have just let me off. I don't remember. It's so long ago. I don't remember the details. I think I'm just filling in the blank spaces now. But I don't remember the exact procedural. But anyway, I got out.
Yeah.
First thing I remember was like, yo, give me your car charger. I need to get my phone on because I'm expecting like maybe 50 calls from my parents turned on. And I just was expecting.
Yeah.
No calls, no missed calls. Or at least from my parents. I had some from my friends, yeah, but nothing from my parents. I called them and I was like, 아빠, 출발하셨어요? It's like, have you left? And he's like, 아이고야, you wouldn't believe, man. United, there was a delay, so we had to get pushed to the next plane. 아이고.
Lucky you.
아이고 힘드네. 너는 괜찮지? Which means, but you're doing fine, right? How are you? And I was like, oh, I'm doing all right, Dad. I'm doing fine. Right, let me know when you get on the plane. I remember being like, thank you, Jesus, for this delay. Thank you, United, for delaying flights. Oh my God, like such a heaven sent, right?
Yeah.
I rode immediately back. I went back to my school of business, got into auditorium, and it was crazy the timing because I think the dry run was at like whatever. Let's say I got out at 1, it was like at 1:30 or something, and all of my friends like everyone was seated except for me. So I went through the back seat and I got into my seat, and my friends were like, oh, dude, what happened? And I was like, dude. I remember in my face, I was like, hey, shut the hell up. Don't ask me anything right now. let me graduate. Let me do this dry run. Give me my goddamn tassel. Like, just shut the hell up. You don't know how crazy this is being right now. Why my life got to be this way? And respectfully, people never asked me.
Oh.
And people forgot.
Okay.
I think because I just never talked about it, you know? Yeah.
That's how it ended?
Oh, but there was episode 2. Because, remember, I've been charged of a crime. And I have to go to court.
What?
Yeah, you have to go to court. Because I'm out on bail, which means I can leave. I can leave if you pay the money, you can go back to your life, but you have to report back to court to see your verdict, whether you're guilty or not guilty.
Just for that, getting on the wrong taxi.
I know. Look, remember you always say I'm crafty, right? Where do you think I learned all this from, right? So like one day before graduation, I was like, there's no way I'm going to fly back to California with my parents and then fly back to Indiana for my court date. Oh. There's no excuse that I could give in my life why I need to go back to Indiana. Yeah. Right? They're going to see what's up. So I was like, I need to figure this out. So what I ended up doing, and I know nothing about law. As an immigrant, there's no way I have enough. I mean, I consider whether to get a foot-long sandwich or a 6-inch, trying to save money. I'm not going to hire a lawyer. There's no way, right?
No.
But those Latin kids, I saw them too. They were free. They're like, oh, we called our lawyer. This is like police not brutality, but this is police injustice. And they had a family lawyer because they were like they came to our school because they were the richest of the rich from their country, from I forget which Latin country, but they were really well-off family, or all of them there. And so I was like, I got to figure this out. So I went online and then I typed in Indiana. I found I forget her exact title, prosecutor. She was the head prosecutor of Indiana County, that county that I was in. Or maybe she was a defense attorney. I don't know. But anyway, she was one of the two. And I called her up and she didn't pick up. It was like the receptionist or the clerk. And she was like, hi, what can I do for you? And I was like, because I was such a college student, I think she could hear how young I was. I was like, you wouldn't believe what happened to me yesterday. And she's like, who are you looking for? I was like, I don't know, but I just need some help. I'm a student from this university, and I was just trying to do the right thing, and I got into a taxi I got into a cop car thinking it was a taxi, and then immediately I just hear her go, what? What? And I was like, yeah, but then I've been booked and I spent all night. I mean, this is so wrong because I have to go back to California in a few days, and there's no way I'm going to have the money to fly back. And I didn't mean to do it. This is so crazy. Yeah. And she was like, you know what? Give me 1 second, honey. Just give me 1 second. And then she put me on hold. She just was like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to give the lady's name. I remember that prosecutor's name totally right now, but her last name was Scopolitis. And she was like, you know what, Mrs. Scopolitis, she's going to be leaving for a big case in about 30 minutes. Can you make it here in about 15 minutes? I'll give you some face-to-face time. I think if you tell her, she's going to enjoy this one. I was like, what? Enjoy this one? What am I, like a comic story? Like, what?
Comedian.
What am I, a comedian or something? Am I going to just do it like a stand-up and walk out or something? And so I told my friend, I was like, yo, right now, I got to go to this district court right now. You got to help me there. I'm going to buy you a lot of Subway sandwiches, whatever you need, massage, take me there now, because I didn't have a car, right? My friend, it was a good friend, and he took me there. And then I went in, knock, knock, knock. And she's like, are you the kid? Are you the kid? Oh my gosh, it was one of the best stories I've heard. Go ahead in there and then just explain it to her. I think she could probably help you out somehow. And just like in the movies, her desk, she had like these big like manila folders. I think they were all like these trial papers. It was like stacked high. And then she had, I still remember, a very distinctly like crackly voice. I think she smokes a ton of cigarettes. And she was like, hello, can I do for you? And I was like, hi. And I told her the case, right? I was like, yeah, that's what happened. And she was like,
did you shed some tears?
No. I'm so running on empty. I haven't slept. Okay. I haven't slept yet, right? So, and then she was like, so you're telling me to avoid getting drunk driving, you went into the taxi line, but it was a cop car and they arrested you for that. And that's why you're in front of me right now. And I was like, yes. And she was like, And she started laughing, like genuinely laughing to the point. Remember I told you she had a crackly voice? She started coughing because I don't think her lungs were good. And then she was like, honey, let me tell you something. I deal with a lot of murder cases. We have a big high profile one that's going on. You have made my day. This was hilarious. Sometimes, kid, you're going to learn that life, throws you some curveballs. This definitely was a curveball to you. For me, this was a gift. This was hilarious.
Wow.
You brought me joy, kid. I haven't heard something like this in a while.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, but could you help me out? And she was like, sit down. This is called a pre-trial diversion agreement. So basically, pre-trial diversion agreement is that you actually signed that you're guilty. And she explained this to me. Like, here's the option that you have. You can come back to trial, or come back to court a month later when the court date comes out, but you're going to have to fly back. And then you're going to also have to hire an attorney. Or she was like, you can do this pre-trial diversion, but you have no criminal background. This is, this doesn't look like. And what you're promising is that for the next 6 months or a year, you're promising that you'll not get any crime or anything like that. Or you won't get convicted of any other crimes. And then they'll wipe the charge. Yeah, guys, I mean, if you're a lawyer, you probably know the exact terminology, but basically
nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
But you have to plead guilty.
Oh.
Yeah, it's weird. In case that you do commit a crime and then it'll stick and stuff like that. I don't remember. But I was like, oh. So then, yeah.
You went for that option?
I just signed right away. Actually, it might have not been the best idea because like if you do sign, you're admitting that you're guilty.
Yeah.
Whereas if I was like from a very rich family and I had my like a real attorney, they could fight the case and then but come on now. I mean, that would have never happened, right? So then there's no misdemeanor. Like that's been gone away because I ended up moving to Korea anyway, right?
Yeah.
But
Is that why you moved to Korea?
No, I had to go because of the military and stuff.
But she gave you that like.
She gave it to me right away. And she said, I'll process this for you immediately. And she just processed it. It was done with. But she was really pissed at her police too.
Yeah.
She was like ranting. She was like, all right, that was
ridiculous.
funny, but that's ridiculous. Give me the name. And she said she's going to reprimand the police. I don't know if she really did, but
that's one whole lot of a crazy story.
Yeah.
This is like
so I got all of that done before my parents arrived. My parents arrived and I was like, oh, Mappa, how are you? They're like,
can't believe this all happened like over one to 2 days?
Like 36 hours. Over 36 hours. My parents like, you guys should party a little. I was like, no, no partying. No, we're done. We're done with partying. This is good. I want to go home and sleep in my bed now. I partied enough.
Wow, that's so intense.
Yeah.
You can make a movie out of this.
But the reason this comes to mind is again with the second chances, right? Like on paper, I'm someone who have gone to jail. And sometimes when I read through articles, I see that there's people who've been convicted of like low level, like for example, they sold marijuana and they sold like a bag of marijuana and they've been in jail for 20 years and stuff like that, right? So the judicial system, while it is there and it's robust and, for what it is, I think it does more good than it does bad. There are a lot of people who fall into the crevices. And I think, especially with a lot of people who come out of the US-based criminal system, they have to have a second chance. And I think I definitely want to be an enabler of that in the future. For people who've maybe made a mistake, maybe it's as silly as getting into a cop car, or maybe it's a little bit more worse than that, but still, people have to have second chances. And I just wanted to share this story. Why? Because when you think about someone who who might need a second chance, it could be as ridiculous or as innocent as my story. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know this impacted my mom because I told my mom this.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, oh my God.
She was so ashamed. She really disappointed?
No, because it already happened like 2 years ago, right? I mean, it's there's nothing to be. But I remember she started to go towards this program that went to go feed people in prison or like do or like help people that were just got out of prison.
Yeah.
And my mom was part of that program.
Yeah.
So she was volunteering. And I think that was a direct byproduct of her hearing my story about how good people can make silly mistakes, which leads to them being caught up in the system. Right? So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how it sounds from the from your ears when you're listening to the story, but at that time, I was so ashamed of this. I didn't want anyone to know, but at this age, it doesn't matter. What do you guys think? Was that a good end of the year story for everybody?
I've already heard of this, but it was still amusing listening it the second time. I think we went a little bit longer than we usually do this podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like the essence of this podcast.
We're all, if we think about all of our best podcasts, it's all about us sharing mistakes. Do you know why people listen to that? Because everyone else makes mistakes. It's fun to hear about other people's mistakes. Because on social media and every other platform, it's all about all the things you did right and showing that off. Virtue signaling. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this and this and that, right? But damn, we made a lot of mistakes. And we still kill it in life. Woo! Much love to you guys. Best regards. Hey,
Thank you for listening.
Stay safe.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's.
Merry Christmas.
How do you say it in Korean?
새해 복 많이 받으세요.
새해 복 많이 받으세요.